Hey, what is up guys, welcome back to the channel and welcome back to another GT7 news video. So yesterday I did a quick video basically talking about the leaks that have come with update 1.31, and it turns out there's much more to it. So I'm not going to include the likes of the cars, the tracks layouts and the SF23 as well as the physics changes, because I spoke about those in a previous video. Now thanks to GT Planet, the entire thing is in English and much more readable than before. So what I'll do is go through those extra bits and just see what is in these update notes. Now it'll be interesting to see if it actually all turns out to be, you know, complete truth, or if there's kind of anything that they've left out of these update notes. Obviously they dropped in game much earlier than they should have been and then got completely removed again. So it will be interesting to see if the notes tomorrow morning actually, you know, completely correlate everything in terms of the update. But I believe this should literally be everything that is coming in this update. So we'll go through it step by step, apart from the parts that I mentioned. So we'll start off with events first, and there appears to be 4 of the events that are coming across. So there is Nürburgring Japanese 4-wheel drive challenge 600, which sounds like it is just what it is really, a limited event for Japanese cars that have 4-wheel drive, and it'll be a recommended PP of 600. I'm assuming it won't actually be limited to 600. It's usually the way it works with those kind of events. We also have a World Touring Car 800 there. Now this is interesting because one of the new layouts coming is the endurance layout, so it would make sense that the World Touring Car 800 event is, well, you know, an endurance event, a bit kind of like Sardinia and the likes of those events. So it'll be interesting to see what the payout is. Hopefully it does match up and give us a brand new grinding event. On top of that, we have another one at Kyoto Driving Park, which is a continuation of the Porsche Cup. Now I believe the first time I actually saw the Porsche Cup in game, or the last time I actually remember seeing it really, was the layouts at Catalonia, I believe, way back in I think 1.20 when those came to the game. So that seems to be a continuation of that one. And then we have another one at Tokyo Expressway, which is again the Japanese 4-wheel drive Challenger 600. So yeah, very interesting. There's 2 of those events that are, you know, pretty much the same, just at 2 different locations. We have another one at Kyoto Driving Park, which seems a completely random one, but obviously with the Porsches coming in, it does make sense that they bring the Porsche Cup back in some form. I'm just a bit surprised at the track choice for that one. And then we have the Nürburgring World Touring Car 800, which definitely, you know, has the possibility of being a proper full-blown event with a decent payout, and let's hope they do and don't completely mess that one up. Another big one is 120 Hz with a variable refresh rate. This is a big deal. It's pretty much double what it was running at. So I believe it was 60 Hz originally. Now it's going to be up to 120 Hz if you do have the display for it. I'm one of those that do. Now I'm expecting the, you know, kind of graphical fidelity of the game to drop down with that. So it'll be interesting to see how that works. Should be very good for those that have the ability to run at 120 Hz with a variable refresh rate and such. And you know, especially if you're running it on a monitor and such like I do myself, this is going to be a very big deal in just terms of how smooth the game will be. So yeah, very interested to see how this one will work. Should be a good deal for those that actually, you know, have the ability to do this. Photo Escape's up next. This is just a minor one. So in terms of, you know, spring coming around in the northern hemisphere, there does appear to be that there'll be cherry blossoms in the cafe in terms of that. So, you know, that is something pretty good for those that like to run scapes. And then there is GT Cafe Editions. So there seems to be basically some new extra menus coming. One being the Toyota family cars, which will be, you know, probably because of the 8-seater, the Toyota that's coming along with the game, and the Ford GT. And one thing that I didn't actually mention alongside the physics changes is actually the tyre models getting changed. So it seems to be all to do with curbs and such, as well as the heat in the tyres, and aquaplaning seems to be being kind of changed up as well. So it'll be interesting to see how the cars feel in wet conditions, and in terms of, you know, getting the heat into them and just seeing how they react then. There also seems to be some aerodynamic changes, which seems to kind of hint at the SF23 and basically how that will behave. So it'll be interesting again just to see how the aero behaves on some of these cars. I'm not sure if they're changing up for other cars as well, or just kind of getting it in line for that SF23 car to come to the game. Anti-lag system seems to have a bit of a change as well, where basically it would over-rev when on idle. Basically they're just toning that one down. So again, that's just kind of another minor thing. And now the big one, there does seem to be a change in the PP system. So basically the default suspension and aerodynamic settings on race cars and certain road cars have been adjusted. So I'm assuming that'll be to try and kind of, counteract a lot of these glitch builds that are coming out where aero seems to play a massive part in basically dropping that PP level down. And then another big one for controller users, they seem to be basically changing up how the controller will feel, basically just improving the steering algorithm and basically seeing how the force feedback of the controller will feel. So there should be a whole different, more kind of realistic feel to how the cars will feel when using a controller. Whether or not this will improve people's times on controller or hinder them, kind of yet to be seen sort of thing. So hopefully that will feel quite good. I'll try and test that out first thing in the morning before I then go on to wheel and such for the update, just to kind of see how the controller changes really does affect the sort of lap times overall and stuff. And I'll obviously test it up against my own circuit experiences and stuff. So sport mode seems to have had a few changes as well, or at least planned changes. So from Exhibition Series Season 4, there'll basically be a schedule to sort of extend the time zones, which I'm going to assume means there'll be a wider range of times where you can actually play it. Sometimes it used to feel very, very limited, so if you was kind of away at that point, there's a high chance you ain't going to make those events. It seems like that's going to be extended, as well as different kind of penalty settings and race regulations within sport mode, so that'll be interesting to see how that happens. There is going to be some legendary car price adjustments as well, so that's kind of planned for, I think, June 2023 according to this. So we'll probably see a bunch of legendary cars go really high up in price, and I'm assuming they ain't going to come down. So hopefully it's not that bad and it does the opposite, where some of these cars kind of get more kind of, I guess, fake prices than the real prices, but I'm assuming that's not going to be the case. We're probably going to see a lot of cars go through the roof, maybe see some come down at the same time. Another big one, or kind of minor one depending on how you see it though, but basically the circuit experience and license test leaderboards are going to be completely reset. This is because of a few shake-ups. So yep, basically expect to see your time completely wiped. If you want to go back and do them again, which a lot of you probably won't, then feel free to obviously head back and put a new lap time in. I'm going to assume this is mainly because of the new physics changes, obviously the whole feel of the cars changing up and such. So more than likely that'll be the whole reason behind the complete reset of those leaderboards. There's a bunch of other minor changes as well, stuff like changes to the mission challenges and such. So I don't know if that's going to be in terms of their difficulties, so we might see certain ones like the Lake Major one get a bit easier. There's stuff to do with like your avatar escapes and such like that. So again, just kind of minor things that I'm not really going to touch on because they're not really worth noting. In terms of the overall update, I'll be very interested to see how the whole physics changes. It does seem like quite a big update in terms of the overall game. I know a lot of people will probably just be crying out for content, but obviously if they're completely changing the physics, it'll be a pretty big jump, I'm assuming, since pretty much everything's getting reset. So it'll be interesting to see how the kind of difference between controller is, especially for controller players, in terms of getting more in line with wheel players, if it'll kind of benefit them or if it'll kind of make them even slower. So it will be very interesting just to see how the overall game feels come tomorrow. So yes, update 1.31 will drop early AM, for my time zone, which is GMT, or I believe BST now. So yeah, it'll be pretty early on in the morning for that update. So basically the whole game will have a complete new look and feel in terms of how it plays and such. So that's going to be it for today's video. I just thought I'd cover the other extra stuff that's come out. Big thanks to GT Planet for making the whole thing a lot more readable than the kind of Google Lens translations and such. It did kind of get a lot of things kind of muddled up and not really making sense. So yes, that is, I will basically link that article down below. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you all later, guys. Have a great day. Peace.